All right. Hey, look, before we get into this episode, look, me and David are a bit screwed, so if we're a little bit quiet this episode. We went to Good Things yesterday. We're filming this the Saturday following Good Things Music Festival.
Timestamp the shit out of this.
Here and now. I mean, it's going up on Tuesday,
Fuck it.
anyway, so it's like it's not that big of a timestamp. But yeah, we're a little bit worse for wear.
Not to mention everybody on the Insta knows because I tagged you outfit of the day.
yeah, we're a bit worse for wear. David's voice is basically gone.
What a sprightly disclaimer, boys. Thank you very much.
It was very.
For that.
Like, I want to be a sprightly disclaimer, but it was a damn good day, and we've earned our less than fantastic states today, the day after.
I just want to tell... Oh, fuck, you see
you
heard my voice just then.
Yeah, it's just gone.
I just want to tell one story, and it's just the Wall of Death story, because that just encapsulates why we're fucked today.
This was Michael's first ever metal festival.
Thanks, man.
David,
by the way.
Whatever. Shut up.
Fair enough.
Ricky's brain isn't working.
Exactly.
As mine.
I am like... literally and figuratively fried because I got sunburnt really badly yesterday.
He is, he's looking...
He's Red Ricky today, boys.
I'm Red Ricky.
He looks like a $20 note today.
PSA.
I'm about...
Slip, slop, slap.
Very funny, very funny. They're orange. Fuck you. We did this yesterday, right? I was wearing a red suit. I wore a red suit.
You were wearing a dark red suit.
I was wearing a red suit to Good Things, and I put a $20 bill next to that red, and it is fucking orange. It's
really funny because Ricky's microphone's red.
It is.
That's what I'm saying. He's Red Ricky today.
And it matches
the difference.
It matches my face. Yeah, it does.
So this was my
Yeah.
first ever metal concert, right? Yeah. And I know moshes. I've done like R&B moshes, and those are tame. Fucking tame.
All they do, you just bounce up.
It's
and down.
just a bounce. It's that everyone backs up, and it's people go in the middle and dance. That's a mosh in R&B terms.
Yep.
So I experienced.
It's just tantric sex with more bass.
Right. I've seen metal moshes where they do like that circle running around and like people throw hands and kick and shit. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I did that. That was like the first thing of the day. I'm good at that. I was
the first wave.
That was literally like first song, first band we saw at 1 o'clock, bang on, like mosh started. People were throwing hands. I'm like, great, I'm jumping in. And I did it on Thursday as well.
Yeah, this is like metal moshes have like 3 stages. You've got just like people just in a pit, just jumping up and down and pushing and shoving. Stage 2 is a circle pit where a big circle opens up, people run around in circles and bump into each other and stuff. Stage number 3 Stage number 3 is the Wall of Death.
Now, so I had no idea what the fuck a Wall of Death was. Like I'd seen the memes posted.
Gotta learn today.
And I just thought that was just like people like standing in a line and kind of just like arms over shoulders and just like side by side, like this is our Wall of Death. No. So I was, classic David, bang on in the middle of like the audience, like I'm front and center. I'm in the circle mosh where that would normally start at stage 2. Then because the meme spread on Facebook of...
So this was for the Veronicas.
The Veronicas performed the Good Things, and they were so fucking good. But the meme was some dickhead out there created Wall of Death at the Veronicas, right? And then the Veronicas got in on it. So they opened up their set going, don't worry, there will be a Wall of Death. Get fucking ready.
Yeah.
All right. And they built up to the Wall of Death, the entire set, till they get to Untouched, right? And that no kicks, and then they're just like, all right, just part the fucking audience.
Yeah.
Part the fucking audience.
It's like part of the Red Sea down the middle.
I'm sitting there, I'm bang on the middle as they have drawn the line. So I'm picking a side.
Headlights, you just didn't know. You were a bit confused, Dave.
I was a bit confused what we were doing, right?
Where's everybody going?
So I'm... Like, I was with Connor, and, like, he didn't want to do it. He knew it, but he didn't know I knew it. So he was just like, oh, go. And I'm like, oh, fuck you, you're an idiot. You're missing out on the mosh, bro. All right, so I jump in, bang in the middle. There's only, like, 5 or 6 other dudes there at the start because they're all dickheads like me. They're like, oh, you're so fucking jazzed. You keen to get into this? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, man. Like, what are we going to do? We're going to run around in a circle and, like, push people and stuff? Like, how cool's that? No.
The people who stand in the middle are, like, genuine sadists.
Yeah.
They're the people who are, like, they're the subs at a BDSM thing. Like, they're the gimps in Pulp Fiction.
So I'm bang on.
How long did it take you to work out what you're about to do?
So the Veronicas were counting down. They went from like, okay, the Wall of Death is ready. 3, 2, and there's like a good 30 meters, 40 meters of space between one side of the audience and the other side. And there's like thousands and thousands of people there just watching the Veronicas. They hit go. They say go. And then I'm not fucking kidding you. Like the alcohol must have kicked in at that time. Time slowed down as I look to my left, and there's just like BO and sweaty dudes lined up on one side, like gurning faces sprinting at me. I look to the right and it's the exact same situation. And like, I've just immediately come to the conclusion in like 0.1 of a second, oh, I'm fucked. They're running towards the middle. I'm there. So I look over, I'm like, oh, okay. There's really only one. There's really only one option here. It's brace myself and just kind of take out one guy. Like at least I can walk out saying I took out one guy. So I look at that, I look right, and I go fuck that, and I bolt left, shoulder ram one dude. He goes down like a fucking brick shithouse. I turn around, and then the last thing I see is just a wall. It's just a wall of people, and
wall of death.
Wall of death, and I've just speed tackled like fucking like in slow motion, like getting stabbed in the chest, you know, like in like Angels Fall. And I've just fallen, and then just 6 dudes have just fallen right on top of me. And I was there for about 5 to 10 minutes. Just under a pile of dudes. And like, there are people screaming. It got fucked, dude. One girl was like white and shit afterwards. Like she had been pinned down under this.
There are a lot of
the first aid tent was done after Veronica's.
Like, this is the thing. There's a lot of hype that come up to these because it is kind of really engaging and quite a spectacle to see. Like hundreds of people just run at each other for no other reason than just like we're just so hyped we're gonna run at each other.
Yeah.
But like some people are not ready for that, and you can the mental shock of some of those situations.
The amount of like young girls I saw get pulled out of there.
Even
before like the wall of death.
Also, there's something nice just hearing like when you do fall over, and eventually you will fall over. Get up, motherfucker!
I didn't fall
get up.
in any like, and this is I'll put over middle crowds so much. They're actually the nicest fucking people I've ever met. Yeah. If you fall, people like you'll fall because like you're doing the bumping and shit. That's the game.
David, you hate, but you hate positively.
No, I love them because once you fall, I saw so many people. I fell myself when I was doing the crowd surf. I'd fucking taken a mad bump. Everything stops in that circle as they go, all right, get him up. Yeah. Like, there's so much respect. Dude, I was like a rising angel after I fell from that crowd surf. I was just like, get me up. And then, like,
if someone does fall, people do kind of shield.
They do the shield. They do the shield. When someone's tying the shoes, you hear it just like, shoes. Yeah. And it's just like this. It's just like, boys, all right, we got shoes.
I did it a couple of times, I think pretty early in the Veronica set before the Wall of Death. But we were like, because like, we got separated, me and David. They got crowd surfed like to the front.
That crowd surf was sick.
That was the last I saw of him. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll just find him afterwards.
Did you have time to prep yourself? Did you tuck your shirt in?
Oh, yeah, no, I was tucked shirt the entire time.
Tuck your hat?
So I crowd
hats.
I crowd surfed twice. The first time I didn't have my phone on me, and that was when I went from the back all the way to the middle, took that bump. And as I'm lying there, I've gone, all right, get me up, but I'm going to quickly get my fucking phone out because I'm going to record this. And I've gotten up like a fucking fallen angel. And that's where it's on my Insta story where I've just copped that all the way to the front.
Like
security guards pull me.
You just yelling at some guy, just like, get me up.
Get me up. And they're like, oh, dude, I'm up instantly. They were so good. Oh, I love them. But fuck, dude. Yeah, that took it out of us. Yeah.
Do you feel like you relived a bit of your youth there, Ricky?
It was my first metal festival since Soundwave stopped being a thing. Yeah. So it was good to actually get back into that crowd. And the thing with the Wall of Death and like the circle pitting and the moshing and shit is there is this insane like adrenaline and endorphin rush that kind of gets like your brain gets tricked into like really enjoying it for some reason. Like there's just something about
primal.
It is, like, I said this to David yesterday. It's a very primal thing, like being just this huge mass of people all appreciating the same thing, jumping up and down and just sort of like...
Well, the pit, the mosh becomes alive. It does become its own entity in a way that
it moves. It moves
homogeneously with like all the cells. Like everyone kind of just becomes one. It's really...
Yeah. We'll put you over for homogeneously.
Yeah.
I don't know if I correctly used that word.
That's not a word at all.
Okay.
You mean harmoniously or...
Homogeneously is
homogeneously. Do you mean a hegemony?
Well, you might mean that.
I have no idea.
You might mean that.
So you either because I thought you meant harmoniously.
Homogeneous is a word.
No, homogeneous.
Yeah.
So
and homogeneous is a word. So, but you said hegemoniously.
I reckon hodgemoniously.
That's a hodge. Yeah. I was like, what? That's not a word. And
with that,
I thought I heard about that one. Look, I can't remember the word. I'm missing some brain cells. But the point of it is...
Homogeneously, doesn't matter. When a whole group of people kind of become one, it's a beautiful thing to see.
No,
especially within a music festival kind
of you just didn't expect it for Veronica's, but like that pretty much is the best way to sum up why we're fucked on this podcast.
That was the biggest surprise of the whole thing for me, was when you were like, yeah, we're watching the Veronicas at a metal gig. And I was like, all right, okay.
Dude, it was a pop punk metal gig.
Yeah.
So he had like pop punk, hardcore, a little bit of goth.
But like,
and then
the
like
Veronicas,
metal.
The Veronicas doesn't fall into any of those categories either.
No, it doesn't.
They're
But
pop.
it
Like,
was
full on.
after their set at Splendor this year when they came sort of back to the live music scene, like the festival scene at least.
Yeah.
And they did a recut version of Untouched with All Day.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a half-speed hip-hop kind of like
Right.
remix of their song.
Yeah, right.
And so, this time around, it was like, all right, we're bringing him out, booked him for the festival, and there was a more metal edge to the music this time
They
around.
screamed. They did scream.
Yeah, they did. They, actually, Jess can scream really well. Or the other one, I can't remember which one's which.
Well, like full on like Flyleaf, like.
Yeah, they were like ripping out some really good ones. But
Yeah.
like the way that obviously the guitars were like they had like a lot of overdrive, a lot of distortion on them. So it was the Veronicas, but it was a bit more
Turned up.
metal, a bit more turned up, as it were, for the children out there.
And they really embraced the entire scene.
They did.
Like,
They
were very true to metal.
Yeah.
That
Oh yeah,
performance.
no, they know how to put on a good show.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, like no doubt in my mind, the Veronicas can put on a good show.
It's exactly like if Veronica's played a country show, like if they played
That's
the
what I'm
blues,
saying.
They'd adapt.
if they
They'd
played the
adapt.
blues festival up in New South Wales, I'm sure they would have just all like
They're really good
had the
artists.
Kubras and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I didn't realize that they could flex out like that. Like, I figured they had not knocking the Veronicas. They know their lane and they stick to it. And I'm like, fucking good on you. It's
So
like,
they're not. They're obviously willing to try new
yeah,
things.
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what surprised me. You know, that they could try new things and make it work. Like, it's kind of like the opposite of Guy Sebastian, who like tries everything and fails. And with that, welcome to Pint Party, a podcast designed to turn a beer and a chat into a tax write-off. I'm your host, Dave. I'm not David.
Are we just all collectively
28 episodes.
Are we?
First fuck up.
I think our cookness has like been passed on to them.
It's just seeping over. Like,
They're cooked by osmosis.
I had the opposite 24 hours to these two. These two chuckle fucks were up until 5:30 in the morning. I got 8 hours sleep last night. I spent my evening playing My Time at Porsche, which is basically Stardew Valley in 3D. Like I had the complete opposite night, and I still fucked that up. My name is John McLeish.
There we go.
And joining me this week are the Gimmick Gang, all back together. David Yang, Ricky Needs, and Lachlan Beasley. Boys, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Now, the Guy Sebastian deep cut seems like a bit of a deep cut, but actually, so this week and next week is a special. This is a two-part special on Pint Party. We're talking about it's 2019. The decade has been, and we are here to talk about some of the like the decade that was, and that was the tens, which is really I hate that it's called the tens.
Oh, no,
First of
it's
all,
a bit tough.
Just before we get into anything else, can we just talk about the fact that we're calling it the tens? I fucking hate
Would
it.
you just rather call it the 2010s?
I'd rather it be called the tenties to keep in line with everything else.
What, can we call it the 20s? Can we not call it the 20s?
You got the fifth. You got the you got the 20s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, tenties, 20s, and it goes on. That's what I mean. Like, it's gonna be called the tenties.
I hate like what is it, the tens?
Yeah.
I hate the naughties more than I hate the tens.
Yeah, I hate the fact that we call it the naughties.
The naughties. I fucking hate it.
I hated it for the first 6 years, and then I got over it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I got over it as well, but
embedded
fuck,
in you.
I just did not like that as a term. But anyway, did they call it that back in the fucking... the
1901. Like,
Yeah, that's
we're living in the roaring noughties.
I don't know. See, the problem is that
hate it.
the only person I know who was even remotely around in that time is my 100-year-old grandfather who was born in 1919. But like, he wasn't, obviously he was a baby. He didn't know that they were fucking calling it the tens or not, so he has no idea.
Yeah.
Does he call himself a tens baby?
No, he doesn't.
I hate people that are born in 99. They go, oh my God, I'm such a 90s kid. Fuck off.
No,
you don't remember the 90s.
When you get to 100, you kind of just like become above all that
grouped
bullshit.
by association.
Right? You're like anybody who's like less like younger than 89 is a child, right? At that point.
Oh, true. Imagine being at that like that level of seniority where it's like, okay, someone who's 89 could be your child.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like,
No,
like,
so
there's like 4 generations that you look at and go,
that happened.
Kids.
There was a 110-year-old grandmother, and she was living in a retirement home with her oldest daughter, who was 92 or something, and they were living together in a retirement village. So you got a 110-year-old with their 92-year-old daughter.
I'd love to just like not talk down, but like if I'm old and then like my child is old and like we're both like genuinely old, like I'm 70 and they're like 50, it's like, oh, you're still a kid to me. It's like, no, you're 50 years old.
Yeah. No. Like there was a pair of sisters who were like that. Like it was a 100-year-old sister, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is my baby sister. She's 91."
Fucking superb.
There's a few of those around. But we're not here to talk the century. We're here to talk the decade.
Back on topic. Here we go.
You know, I mean, it's all around it. You know what I mean? We're talking. I mean, that's the 19th.
Regardless of what we call the decade, we're
Regardless
covering 2010 to 2019.
Yeah. So this episode. So this is a two-parter, right? Normally we don't do two. Normally we do everything in one, but this is a two-parter because it's a decade, right? There's a lot of shit to get through here, right? So this episode is from 2010 to 2014. I've been told, not 2015, because I can't math.
That's technically 6 years.
Yeah, well, because I forgot to account for 0.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing 2010 to 2014, and then the next episode is 2015 to 2019.
Yes.
So we got a lot here. I don't know what we want to start with though, because so Dave was really keen on this. I just want to just to part the curtain a little bit. Dave was like, I am fucking keen as a bean to talk about the decade. John, I want you to research this, and I'm like, okay, boss man. And so like I did some research, and I got everything. I got music, films, and games. Because those are like pretty easy to
It's a general trifecta.
just as a good
pop culture.
Exactly, it's a good trifecta of pop culture as a way of, but also because a lot of those are influenced by the culture at large of the time. Especially like music and films, particularly, are always very heavily influenced by the culture of the time that they kind of come out. And even though like films, for example, even though they can take like up to 2 years to be produced, they still give you a pretty good indication of what was going on in the culture of that time, and kind of where
And that's
a
what
good way
going
to
to
take.
this.
And music is a lot quicker of a turnaround, so you're more able to take the temperature of what was going on at the time. Games are a bit of a different story because games can take upwards of like 3 years to make, so like they're a bit harder to do. Or even in the case of like things like Red Dead Redemption, that's like 5 years. Elder Scrolls, same thing, right? Those can like almost take a decade in their own right to be done. So they're not really taking the temperature. Even though actually, Grand Theft Auto 5, I will say, kind of like were kind of the first kind of cultural thing to talk about the financial crisis and being like, shit's fucked out here on the streets. Like that's the whole premise of GTA 5. Ultimately, is it's about how like, I mean, in a very Grand Theft Auto way, mind you, like it's all kind of over the top and crazy, but it was sort of like, here is how like people reacting to the financial crisis and kind of reflecting American culture back on America, which is like, for me, that's what the original San Andreas did as well. It kind of reflected the insanity of American culture back onto Americans. So, so even then video games can like capture that cultural zeitgeist. And so I feel like, as far as like what I base it on, because there's a lot of ways to quantify these things as well, right? I mean, for example, like with music, just today, just before this podcast, we were talking and you were all like talking about top songs for certain years, but you're basing it on the Billboard charts. So for this one, I've based it on the Triple J Hottest 100. Because we're an Australian podcast, and for me, whenever I think about like top songs of a year, and this is my personal bias, and I've got to admit, for me, the memories of that for me always come from the Triple J Hottest 100 because that was what everybody was obsessed with when it comes to like what is the song of that year, and it was always people would always go to the Triple J Hottest 100 for it. So that's where I've based it on that. With films, I've actually gone with 2 lists because I think there's something really interesting there. So I've got films based on gross. So this is like pure money. How many people bought tickets to see this fucking thing? I've got that. And not all of these films won awards. In fact, a lot of them really didn't. Like, for example, The Avengers didn't win a single award, but made a fuck ton of money.
Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Yep, Transformers: Age of Extinction. Perfect example.
2014 must have sucked.
Made a fuck ton of money.
2014 for movies.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Right? Holy shit. And then, but then I've also just to do
Indian cinema took off.
I'm saying for like blockbuster, like summer movies, terrible.
Man. Yeah.
Every summer movie was just trash. Like
So
the indies were good, but the summer movies, no.
Yeah.
No
So,
good.
but they make a shitload of money. So I got that,
They
but I've
do.
also got, just because of that, to keep that in mind, I also went with films based on the Academy Award for Best Picture, right? And so that's what I've got. So you got the Academy Award for Best Picture, and they're vastly different, as you can imagine. Like, just to throw out perfect example, right? 2010, right? Highest grossing film of 2010, Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
Fucking good movie. Good movie.
There
liked it.
was a lot of anticipation.
A lot of anticipation for it, right? It was a decade in the making, right? But What won the Academy Award for Best Picture that year? The King's Speech.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing movie as well. Like two really good movies, but based on two completely different metrics, you get two very different results. So I thought it was worth, just for films, it was worth going for.
Do you think that was more? Do you reckon that was more Jeffrey Rush, or do you think that was more Colin Firth?
I feel like it was Jeffrey Rush. Jeffrey Rush for me carries that film. Like, definitely.
I prefer watch. I'm not the biggest Colin Firth fan
He's done
in the beginning.
This decade, the biggest thing he's done was the Kingsman first one.
I liked him in that.
Really liked him in that, and I think that was in 2014.
He's also in the second one.
That came out too. He's like, there's been some good stuff from Colin Firth. He's reasonably.
He was really good in the King's Speech. I thought he did a really good job of playing. Like,
he's definitely taken a backseat of being a serious actor.
Whenever he tries to do like the Hugh Grant romantic lead in a British comedy, That's
been his lane. That's been.
I
his
know,
lane for years.
but he's not as like daffy and affable as Hugh Grant.
I mean, he was Mr. Darcy.
He was Mr. Darcy. I will give him that in a TV production of fucking Pride and Prejudice. Yeah. But he did a good Mr. Darcy. But like, I don't know. I'm not a big Colin Firth fan, so I like Jeffrey Rush more in that film.
He was really good in Mamma Mia.
I hate that movie.
I just thought.
I should see Mamma Mia. I can't bring myself to do it.
I love Mamma Mia too.
I despise that movie more than most things in this world.
What the fuck? Really?
I hate it.
Oh, God, do you just hate musicals? Is that like the thing?
No,
like you just can't. Stand a fucking movie
music.
where they break out in a song and dance.
I like musicals, but that is a terrible. One or two? Terrible, both. Terrible jukebox musical, and I hate. Okay. I like original musicals. I hate jukebox musicals.
Oh, okay. Like, fair enough.
And also, I fucking cannot stand. What's her face?
Amanda Seyfried.
No, the mum.
What? Fucking Meryl Streep.
Yeah, that one.
Really?
When she sings, she can't sing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Stiff to Meryl Streep.
She cannot sing.
No, she can't sing.
She should not be in a musical. Pierce Brosnan should not be in a fucking musical.
Pierce Brosnan
ever.
Can we put over Pierce Brosnan though? Like,
no.
The fact that he signed up for that movie, I think is fucking lit.
No,
yeah, he saw the fucking paycheck.
He
at the
saw the
bottom of the thing,
paycheck.
and he's like,
he was just like, I'm not Bond anymore.
He's like, I
okay.
signed that. Wait, I've got to sing. Are you fucking kidding me?
No, Pierce Brosnan hadn't had a good paying gig in over a decade, so we did Mamma Mia. That's what
I'm saying.
is.
Like,
Yeah.
he looked at it, he was just like,
I haven't had a steady paycheck since fucking Goldeneye. Like, okay, I got to do this.
Yeah, so like,
he's a good looking bloke though.
I just can't stand that movie. It is just an obvious cash grab with a bunch of big name actors that cannot fucking sing.
You know what? Actually,
it made Lily James though, who was Cinderella before and then did Mamma Mia. She was on an absolute tear, Lily James.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I don't even know.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Thankfully it's not on this list anyway, but it's a fucking trash movie.
When we eventually do our like predictions for the next decade, Lily James is going to be my leading actress nom. I think she's on the rise.
So,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
That's a whole other day.
So that'll be after this two-parter.
So we're kicking off with movies, I take it, by the sounds of things.
Yeah, I mean, no, it really doesn't matter. Like, we can kick off movies. But just one more thing, just in terms of like where I'm sourcing like our top stuff.
Yeah.
Just real quick, last thing, we've got games. Now, games is a really look. Movies, I've said, is tricky because there's so many different ways. Music, there's so many different ways. Games, for me, is even harder again because at least with music and films, there are these established conventions. There are these institutions that quantify these things. And they have been established for a long, long time. Whether you love them or hate them for various different reasons, like there are pretty laid out ways of quantifying the best films and the best music of any given time period. Games, even though games have been around for close to 50 years at this point, as far as quantifying them in any kind of an awards sense, in any kind of a way of having an industry recognize them for their merits, has only really been a thing, I want to say, even in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it only has been.
Like, not even a full decade. Like, I mean, Spike TV's The Game Awards tried to do something that was like the Academy Awards, like the Oscars. And so, like, that's where I've started with.
But it was on Spike TV.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it was less...
Tits and motorbikes.
Yeah, it was less of a... this is the 112th Academy Awards, right? It was
This was Spike TV, sponsored by Red Bull.
Yeah. It was more like, get a Red Bull in you with some big titties and here's a video game.
Yeah.
Right? Because it wasn't really like an award ceremony so much as an advertisement for other things.
I think that's the problem with the video game thing is like you had individual outlets doing their own awards. So like Game Informer did their awards, IGN did their awards, stuff like that. But then I know Spike tried to sort of like let's get everybody together and try to like get a proper Game Award things happening.
Yeah,
I'm sure some dickhead in marketing at one point was like, we put it on Spike and we make it for the kids because gaming's for kids. And now that we do have like the Game Awards, we've sort of gone past that. Now it's a little bit more, I guess.
Well, it's starting to mature.
Looked at as like an official thing that because they go to. I think it's very sort of. I think an interesting way to go about coming up with the criteria because they go not only to people in the games, and that's not just journalists. It is like YouTube personalities who revolve their channel around gaming. It is people within the industry.
Yeah, it's developers
so
as well.
it's kind of like all sort of like and also they take the audience sort of opinion into account as well. So you're getting the sort of the four arms of people who interact with gaming on some level. Collate a list of the nominees from that, and then you work out your winner from there. So it's actually kind of like, if they do perfect this system, it's a more perfect system than like the Academy Awards, where it's just like 30 white guys sitting on a fucking panel being like, that'll do.
Well, that's the beauty of it now. Now that it's becoming institutionalized, and it's still trying to adopt what Oscars have done, but it's in its infancy, so it's allowed to have flexibility in going away from the Oscars model. But that's because it's still in its infancy. We still exist in this whirlpool where it's like we have an institution, but it's still very much so new that even the formula, like we have the Oscars where we can kind of look at it and go, we know what's going to be nominated. We can kind of guess what's going to win because we know what the Oscar formula is like. There's no particular... There is, but it's still even
only
then.
in the last few years
only in the last few years.
The quote-unquote Oscar-bait game.
The Oscar-baited game. Yeah. And they fall very similar to the story beats of an Oscar film.
I mean, really, all they've done with the Game Awards is they've streamlined all of the movie awards.
Yeah.
Because you've got the Oscar Awards, which is the critics.
Yeah.
You've got the Golden Globes, which is the journalists. You've got the People's Choice Awards, which is the audience.
Yep.
You just collate that vote, make a new list of nominees, and then choose from that.
Yeah, and from that you basically you form a really good like average, standard deviation.
Because like
and you just
People's Choice Award, like one year could be Avengers, and then like you're right, the Oscar could go to definitely not Avengers.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, like the people that vote with their wallets, they liked Avengers. Mm-hmm. The critics liked The Reader or something shit like that. Sorry, Kate Winslet, but it's that disparity between the
2012,
60-year-old fucking men.
Yeah.
Okay, we're up to 2012 already. Let's go.
So 2012 was the Avengers, based on gross.
Wait, was it shit. I haven't looked at the list yet.
The Academy Award for Best Picture. Do you want to take a guess?
It's Argo.
Is it Argo?
Which, by the way,
What's Argo?
is a shit movie.
Yeah.
By the way, it is a
2012.
shit movie.
Hey,
That is no. I disagree that it should have won the award for Best Picture.
Why?
Because they completely fucked the story. Right? Have you read? So the story is based on. It's based on a true story, but the true story that they're drawing the source material from is from a Rolling Stone article that was written about that event. Have you read the Rolling Stone article?
No.
Holy fucking shit! If they'd have ripped that straight up and gone, we're going to use this as our screenplay, that would have been a fucking amazing movie. It's got tension, it's got suspense, it's got like you're genuinely in fear of the people's
And I
lives.
felt like Argo provided that without firing a single gunshot.
No, but that's no. Like, yeah, and the article does the same thing, but Argo completely waters it all down to try and fit it into like, what is it, 90-minute movie? Like just over 90 minutes.
It has a normal runtime. Give me a sec.
It feels like it felt like they watered it down, and especially the end of the movie. They rushed the end of the movie, which is the most tense part of the story. Because so for those of you who don't know about Argo, it's about a group of Canadians who were trapped in the Canadian embassy after the Iranian Revolution, and they needed to get out because basically the Iranian government was like, "We're going to shoot all you Western pricks."
I'm pretty sure it was one of Ben Affleck's first directorial.
And he completely fucked it, in my opinion.
Like his third or fourth.
Nah, dude, I reckon it's a fantastic case study of how you can control tension without bringing in large scale action from outside. Everything is kind of enclosed.
No, the whole story.
Everything is kind of worked on narrative and trying to understand tension of characters, and then just the awareness of. Just some things. I don't really know where I was going.
Yeah, I'm just like it doesn't create tension with weapons. It creates tension in these like boardroom meetings where they're trying to work out this plan to get these Canadians out of this embassy.
It shows you the danger, but it doesn't show you the outcome of it.
I don't know. Like I haven't read the Rolling Stone article either, but I really enjoyed the film. So if
it's
maybe
been
the
a long
Rolling
time
Stone
since I've
article,
seen the film, though.
It went against a big year too. Well, in my opinion,
2012 was pretty good.
Django, Les Mis.
Yeah.
Life
Nah,
of Pi.
Fuck Les Mis.
Nah, like
Django was interesting. 'Cause
Lincoln
like,
was good. Silver Linings was nominated. That shouldn't have won, but that was a good movie.
from memory, I'm pretty sure Django had a lot of marketing hype leading up to it because this was coming off. Was this coming off Inglourious?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was coming off like what people considered to be his best.
Which I disagree. I don't think Inglourious was his best.
This Quentin.
I like Django more than Inglourious.
Who's the director? Quentin.
Quentin.
Yeah,
okay.
Quentin.
Yeah. So then Django came out, but because Django dealt with some themes that were quite heavy and mature, and some people probably weren't ready to have that discussion just yet, and it did take the film to the bins, like absolutely destroyed it. But I think
The fact that they can't talk about slavery like 150 years after they got rid of it is ridiculous.
it's crazy. But
But whatever. Oh, that's right. It's a panel of white men that vote which movie's the best. So there we
Yeah,
go.
and
It's
it makes
not
them
gonna
uncomfortable
And
because
there was-
a lot of them was
don't
like,
remind us of this.
There was a lot of killing of the white man in that movie.
you might ride on the lake, but my daddy owns the lake.
2014 was such a good year. I'm
Yeah.
just going through them now, so like we're gonna.
Why were we saying before that 2014 was a shit year?
For like
2014.
box office movies, like the summer
Like
movie
for
season.
actual- for
No,
actual
actual
film?
like
for film.
for like Oscar film.
Great
for
year
my
for film.
God.
It was so good.
So Birdman took it. This is what I'm thinking might be the best year that we have in
Yeah.
the early decade.
Birdman
Birdman,
was-
American Sniper, Boyhood.
I wouldn't put
Fucking
American
good.
American Sniper
American
rise the
Sniper's the
line.
weakest one there, but that's still a good film.
It was a
the,
good movie.
the
Alright.
fake baby still
Grand
just freaks me
Budapest
out.
Hotel, Imitation Game,
Best bits when he's having PTSD in the bar at the end.
Yeah.
Selma, which pretty much took every other award, didn't
Yeah,
it?
Selma had a lot of,
Yeah.
once again, had a bit of social
Took
pull
everything
behind it.
else about that. Theory of Everything and Whiplash.
Dude, Whiplash is so
Whiplash
good.
was
Whiplash
like
was-
a fucking like dark horse. Like that should have
Well,
Loki
that was
won.
before everyone knew who Damien Giselle was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he did.
That was literally based off like a 14-minute short film he'd done.
Yeah, so he wrote it as a short and then made it and then used that as a selling point to get the whole film made.
Yeah, it was-
And then got the film made.
God, I love Whiplash.
And then I can't remember if he got is it J.J. Simmons.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah.
played the teacher.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Excellent cast.
No, brilliant casting. Him and
He even made Miles Teller
Miles
likable.
Teller.
I didn't know Miles Teller was an actual drum player.
Yeah.
Like, he uses
He's-
natural
he learned-
skill.
he was just like a
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
a drum.
He had to
he's a-
learn like because
a
like
kick drum kind of drummer, but he wasn't a jazz.
Jazz-
Jazz is a different.
Oh, I know.
Animal.
Different kind of tempo and beat.
I relate to Whiplash a lot because I used to be a drummer in like a big jazz band when I was in high school, and yeah, jazz drumming is on like a whole nother fucking level. Like that shit's like I've forgotten most of it. I can still drum like metal and rock, but I can't.
Well, is it
I cannot.
I guess to speak to your experience, is it kind of indicative of what he went through? That whole kind of like you're not keeping tempo.
Jazz is
My
treated.
my like band leader was not as bad as that. He would still he'd still rip shreds off you verbally, but he never got physical or anything like that. He was also my drum teacher.
Yeah.
So like I already knew him outside of a band environment, so he was pretty lenient on me. And he, like this is high school kids, yeah. It's not gone
yeah,
beyond
It's not
that.
university.
It is university. I think it's
It
first,
is.
it's first year, like freshman. Yeah.
So he would tell people when they're doing something wrong, but it wasn't to that level. That level was like that's insane. I don't know if any teacher has ever been like that, but like the whole story of like the pursuit of perfection and what it costs to get there is what that whole film revolves around, and it's just and that fucking final scene is still one of my favorite final scenes in any fucking movie ever. It is so good.
His
It builds
his rendition of Caravan.
yeah,
in the
and
last
its
scene is
build
brilliant.
of tension without saying a fucking word is just masterful.
Especially when building up to that show, the way the narrative carries the tension of him being in the car crash, but him
Yeah.
feeling like he needs to get there just
Yeah.
to prove his worth to this teacher.
Yeah.
And he gets there and he just says, "Fuck you!" Like,
Yeah,
right
it's,
at the end.
oh,
It's
God,
brilliant.
it's fucking brilliant. But
2014 for
there-
film.
there's one thing on that list that is like a absolute travesty, and I think that means American Sniper comes off. Nightcrawler goes on that list.
no, because
Nightcrawler, I think, was it was way too niche of like for
It was.
people, like for audiences
It
didn't know
was
what it was.
so fucking
I th-
like
I
it was.
think
but
Jake
it's Jake Gyllenhaal's
Yeah,
best.
like
He should have been nom for fucking best actor.
He is scary in that film.
I'd say it's I'd say it's the machinist for this kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
just because like I know I'm
Was Christian
drawing
Bale nominated for
physical-
that in The Machinist? That man fucking method acted the shit out of The Machinist.
He method acts the shit out of everything.
Oh, but dude, because he did that.
He
then did Batman.
he became a billionaire to become Batman.
Fucking hell. Good mate. No, like he's got to be like one of the most in touch method actors out there right now. Aside from Jared Leto, like I hear he gets
He's
nuts.
not. No, No, Shia LaBeouf is probably like the most.
Oh, true. Shia LaBeouf is going to be someone to look out for next decade.
That's
Can this please be the last decade where Jared Leto is relevant?
I think he's lost his relevance after the fucking botched performance he had on Blade Runner.
All right, good.
That did not do well for him. And then all the stories that have come out now
That's funny
because
because I thought Jared Leto in Blade Runner was not bad.
I thought so too.
Was it okay? Would I have cast Jared Leto for it? And probably not. But like, I felt like he gave it a good honest go.
No, but the critics
Right.
were just like, oh, not right.
Would you say that this has been the decade of actors giving it a good honest go? Because I feel like we've
Well, who else is giving it a good honest
we've had a
go?
lot of actors who have kind of like had like what like Miles Teller, great example. He did
Killed it in Whiplash. 1 year later, Fantastic Four.
and then just
Bad.
burned it, right? It happened.
That's what I mean.
Eddie Redmayne, that happened. Like,
Okay, hold on. He was nominated back to back. I think that's still a fucking sick run. Theory of Everything and the Danish Girl.
is a fantastic film.
Yes, but also that fucking Jupiter Ascending movie
where
came
he's-
out.
Well, but now he's doing the fucking Harry Potter spin-off.
Yeah, I know.
So he's still pretty relevant.
No.
So he clearly likes
Harry
money.
Potter, he has a face. Eddie Redmayne's face is perfect for Harry Potter. He
It
has a
is.
Oh, no, I
whimsical
agree,
face that's perfect for the world.
And he's the perfect
Even Jupiter
fucking-
Ascending. What kind of acting would the
was
that?
That movie sucked in general.
I'm
though.
sorry. I'm going to talk really quiet, but then I'm going to get angry. Like it's.
I'm
not
going to talk
Who
really
else did
loud.
that? Mila Kunis?
insane. Like.
Was it Mila Kunis?
Okay,
yeah, it was Mila
This is
Kunis.
Channing Tatum.
This is
Tell me right now that that's a fucking blockbuster movie.
This
It was
is-
marketed
yes,
as
it
one.
is.
Dude, it totally
Oh,
was.
marketed
I saw
as
that in
one.
cinemas.
People
I'll
were
never
like,
get my money back.
People were like, it's the Wachowskis. They're fucking back. We got the girl from Family Guy and the guy from the movie with
Step Up.
male strippers and Step Up. And
Theory of Everything.
Okay. I'm just saying, like
Theory of Everything was which year?
2014.
it was, yeah.
Was that coming off the whole? Because what year was because Benedict Cumberbatch also had a very big.
Brandon
He did Imitation Game.
Yeah, Imitation Game.
Yeah.
Fucking great movie.
What a flop The Hobbit was at the start of the decade. My God, this is going to be the build-up of the next Peter Jackson's fantasy series, and it completely died
Also,
before it
I
hit the game.
refuse to accept that exists at this point. I
Isn't
hate
it
it
fu-
that much.
It did 3 movies though. You got to admit to it exists because they made 3
I know.
movies on it.
That is
I
the
know.
most- that is the most bullshit thing ever.
I have never been more disappointed walking out of a film when I
Yeah.
walked out of fucking whatever the first one was called.
I think it's just called The Hobbit.
No, it was the
something
it was The
journey.
Hobbit.
It was something unexpected journey.
The Unexpected Journey. Then it was
something Smaug.
Desolation.
Desolation of Smaug.
Desolation of
Third one.
Smog.
Yeah.
And then the last one was
secret.
no. The last one was the Battle of the Five Armies, which included 4 armies.
Also,
That
That was
pissed me.
I'm pretty sure that was rushed.
It was all rushed because, like, look, Peter Jackson spent a decade in New Zealand doing Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Real locations, real sets, fucking
Who did- who-
very little green screen.
It was produced by.
No, he came back. It was supposed to be. It's supposed to be Guillermo del Toro.
dude, I
He
like-
was supposed to direct it.
Really like Hellboy.
Peter Jackson was supposed to be like supervisor and like on set, sort of like helping him out. But it was supposed to be Guillermo. And all I can think of how fucking amazing a Hobbit in 2 films, not 3. There's not 3 fucking.
I did not mean the book is so thin. I don't know how.
No,
they
it's
made that.
one book.
It's literally a children's book.
It is.
I read it when I was like 10.
Yeah, I read it when I was like 12 or something.
Yeah.
And it's literally a children's book. Like, it's not. You don't
not
need
hard
3
read.
fucking movies from a book that's like 2 inches thick.
I feel like that's got to be the studios at that point being like, we want to pump this thing.
But
forward.
this was when during the time where we were seeing other franchises do something.
Well, Harry
similar.
Potter was wrapping up. Like, I mean, Harry Potter, like the last Harry Potter movie came out in 2011.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I feel like they were like, okay, we need something to pick up from this. We want to transfer that audience through, and they were hoping The Hobbit was going to do
And this
it.
is before Disney knew
Which is
what
like-
they were doing
it's-
before they decided MCU.
It's
or
so-
anything like
it's
that.
so
Disney,
crazy.
Was The Hobbit Disney?
No,
No.
Hobbit's
Hobbit is,
New Line Cinema, which
yeah.
is a subsidiary of
Universal?
No, I think it's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I was going to say because Warner Brothers.
No,
did-
it is Warner. I think it is Warner Brothers.
Yeah, because they were doing that's the thing. They
I
had
think you're
Harry
right.
Potter, so I
I
feel
think
like
you're
they
I
were
think
trying
you're right. I
to
think
do
it's
that.
Warner
Yeah.
Brothers.
But like New Line is their like indie
Yeah.
ish.
Focus is Universal. My
Right.
bad.
But
Another-
you're right about like sort of the MCU just starting to build up speed because Iron Man was 2009.
2008.
It was 2008. Oh shit, it was 2008. So like, but like the Avengers wouldn't come out until 2012. So they were just starting to build up.
Yeah.
They got
the
Captain
Avengers.
America out.
They did Winter Soldier, where I think is when they officially looked at it and went, okay, we're really going to build
No.
something over the
It was
decade.
well before that. No.
Well, the Incredible Hulk, really? We're going to start there?
No. They were going to do. They knew they were going to do a build up to the Avengers at Iron Man 1.
Oh, no, but
like-
That's why you have the Nick Fury.
Yeah, I know. But I
they
feel like
didn't- they
Civil Soldier really cemented the fact that this is like build. This big.
No, that was
Whereas
the
Iron
that was
Man
the first
1
Avenger. No, the first Captain America
They
movie.
say
does
they've
that.
been talking about this since
No.
2001.
This is
they
this is
might
me
have
officially putting my hat in for what I think is the most iconic film of this first half of the decade.
Yeah.
It's Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, I
Avengers.
agree.
Okay.
Because it is the first time that they really tried something of that scale with that kind of budget backed by a massive studio.
Are you also going to say that?
I think it's different because I feel like with dealing with that level of characters, that you're taking characters that have been main characters from each of their worlds and bringing it into one. Because I feel like films like Troy or like Matrix have done. They've shown spectacle through CGI. They've shown through scale. Whereas I think Avengers took all these big pieces from other franchises, put it into one, but then still made it work narrative.
No, exactly. That's the thing. Like
It still felt weighty and like
exactly. And that's because Joss Whedon is quite good at making films.
but Joss was a fan from
Exactly.
the
But
comic book days.
It's something that, looking back when they were building up to it, everyone was like, how is this going to work? It's crazy now to think about that when it was like 6 characters. And like, is everyone going to have enough time? And now you've got fucking Avengers Endgame with like 40 fucking main characters. And they're like, it's fine. They
but
worked it out.
Let's be fair, like no one got shared screen time.
No. But like with Avengers, they managed to find a balance. They managed to bring all the characters in, not
Without
only
making
expand their
concessions.
arcs within this movie, but then like that splinter off effect of like the next individual movies for all those characters continued those threads of what got set up in Avengers.
But also introduce characters and have whole storylines that then made sense along. Because you have, like, you've got Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, all who had movies on their own prior to this.
Yeah.
So you have all of their storylines.
And technically Hulk.
And technically Hulk, but like Hulk, but like the way that's been
Different Hulk.
Yeah, but like
recasted.
Yeah, no, basically though, Hulk's entire storyline only exists in like Avengers movies.
Pretty much.
Right, because of IP issues. But like what I'm saying is that like you've got Black Widow and Hawkeye though, who even though Black Widow was introduced in Iron Man 2 and Hawkeye was introduced in Thor, they're both side
For like
characters
2 seconds.
For like 2 seconds. That's what I mean. They don't have fleshed out in-depth characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America do, because they've got a whole fucking 2-hour films dedicated to them.
And they get that in this.
And they get that in the Avengers movie. But that's what I'm saying. Is like they were able to write it so that by the end of the Avengers movie, you knew who Hawkeye and Black Widow were, and they held up to the rest of the characters in that lineup. So like they did a really good job of being like, we know that these characters are like basically weaker than the others because we haven't had as much time to explain them. We're going to spend that little extra time explaining them, and it's like it's all going to even out. And they did it, and they did it really well. So that by the next movie where they appear, which I think is Winter Soldier, technically.
Definitely Black Widow, not.
Yeah. No, Hawkeye was.
Hawkeye's Age of Ultron.
Yeah, Hawkeye is Age of Ultron. But like that's what I mean. Like before the next Avengers movie, you've got like Black Widow on the scene, and you know exactly who she is, what she's about, what her motivations are, and they're able to spend that time like basically like fleshing out her character a bit more.
Yeah.
And like and making it a Captain America Black Widow movie, and that's fine. You can do that with a character who was like in it for like maybe 2 scenes as like undercover assistant, right? Who was a lingerie model in Tokyo. Like,
Exactly.
fuck.
But I think
I love that that's part of the character arc.
Yeah, I think just like the fact that like it's hard to look back now with like all the stuff that's come since 2012, and the fact that we've gotten
I think
all these like team up
we've
movies
moved away.
bigger and bigger.
Well, you noticed
but
that like
like
a lot of films kind of they sold themselves on like a lot of directors.
Yeah.
Like, director driven was like very much between the noughties, and now we got big franchises that have already mapped out all the narrative beats and all the stories for the next 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So
But like at the time, it was such a big gamble.
It was.
To
It
try
was.
and pull off an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And the fact they not only pulled it off to a satisfactory level, but pulled it off to a level that was like, I didn't think it could actually be this good. Like that fucking first Avengers movie is so well done.
It's not only that, but just
Well, there's
like
a reason why that we're not looking at like Wes Anderson's like film. That
No, I know, yeah.
that's resonant
Like,
for the decade or whatever.
I think so. Yeah, I think something like personifies at least the first 5 years of this decade is because now everything is a franchise and everything has spin-offs and side stories and all this crap. That movie pretty much paved the way for everyone else, and I don't think it was until after that DC sort of got their ass into gear and were like, "Oh shit, we need to fucking do something."
it was after the Avengers.
Exactly. So I was
DC
like,
were like, we're going to start trying to do the same.
That movie is not only like defined at least the first half of the decade, if not its ripple through right till this year with Endgame, but it's changed the way that every other movie studio sort of looks at their properties.
Yeah.
Be it good or bad, I'm not the biggest fan of like expanding universes for no real reason.
Yeah.
Like the DC Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe Cinematic Universe. The Dooku.
The Dooku. So stupid. I hated that Mummy movie. It was really bad.
God.
And then it had like Angelina Jolie wound up to be Frankenstein's bride. They had fucking like all these people locked in for all these roles, and you literally have that scene.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that scene where Tom Cruise is walking through the headquarters with Dr. Jekyll, and it's like you've got a fucking werewolf fur here, you've got a Dracula skull here, you've got like Swamp Thing tendrils over here, and you're just like, that's the next movie, and then the next movie, and then the next movie.
But that was seen before. That was seen in The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh no, Amazing Spider-Man did it too, but once again, that's like...
That was them. That was them like throwing all.
Oh yeah.
And then getting ahead of themselves.
Fell into a big hole because that last movie was terrible.
Oh man! But honestly, ballsy move killing off Gwen Stacy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. The way that they it was actually like, it's bad to say when a heroine dies in a film, but
they snapped her fucking neck.
Dude, it was satisfying. The sound mixing and
Dude, it was satisfying.
Just the way your neck cracked was just...
Like, you knew, like, this. It was a little bit too late. He wasn't going to make it. And you hear this whoosh. It's just, like, bone-curdling, very, very sad, but also very satisfying.
So
I'm sadistic as.
You are, apparently. What the fuck, man?
So it seems like we're all kind of leaning into like, you know, basically like films based on gross, because we're talking about these big budget blockbuster movies, but like again in that same period you've got The King's Speech, which we talked about, The Artist. Never heard of that one. No idea what that is. That won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 2011.
This is the thing. The movies that win. This is why I don't put too much stock in the Academy.
Yeah.
Just because like the stuff they pick, yes, these movies are good. These movies have a message and people act the hell out of them. And, you know, production design and whatnot. Like, Wes Anderson is the fucking king of production design.
Oh, fucking A. Yeah.
The worlds he creates in one single movie are fucking incredible. But they're not movies that I don't think, at least in this decade, have sent a true ripple through the movie industry.
No, absolutely not.
You go back to something like The Royal Tenenbaums or the Coen Brothers looking at Big Lebowski. Big Lebowski
Holy fuck,
is a cultural fucking phenomenon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Grand Budapest Hotel, not so much.
Yeah.
Like it has a bit of a pretty decent following, but it's not. There's no there's no big Budapest con.
Yeah,
there is a Lebowski con though.
Yeah.
So it's like in this.
Is there a Lebowski con?
There is 100%.
What the fuck? That's
People just walk around in bathrobes and drink White Russians the entire time. It's great.
Yeah.
And they just bowl as well.
They
go
go
bowling.
bowl.
Yeah. So it's like you have these movies from these like auteurs, you want to call it, that have won awards and stuff, or like have got great acclaim in the year their movie came out. But I think this decade is going to be defined by the movies that have come out, but also the way that they have affected what's going forward. And we're going to keep seeing this franchise stuff going into the 2020s.
Oh,
It's because
absolutely.
and
it
it's
defines-
transcending film. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it defines the decade. Though. So if you look at the entire decade, films based on gross, this is Disney's decade. I shit you not.
100%.
Right?
Oh,
Let me-
100%.
So
yeah.
let me go through from 2010 to
no
2014. These were the highest grossing films from 2010 to 2014. Toy Story 3, that's a Disney property, right? Because Pixar. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, 2011, which is Warner Brothers.
Warner's.
Right, so that's the only year. But
Hype.
that's the
Hype.
only year. The only year that Disney didn't win it, didn't take it, right?
Yeah.
Because 2012, The Avengers, 2013, Frozen, and 2014. Oh wait, actually, I don't know if this is Disney. Transformers: Age of Extinction.
No,
That's
it's
not Disney.
Universal.
Either. That's
Universal.
Universal.
So like three out of five of those
So-
are all on hype.
3 out of
But
5
from
are
the 15
Expectation was
onwards
building
is gonna be
those
huge
Like
for it.
Harry Potter, the last one, people would have been lining out the door to see that because they've been on it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the
Oh,
left
same thing with
part one on a
Avengers.
fucking
and 2015 onwards is all Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
Oh,
Disney.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Every single film is a Disney film.
That's because they bought Star Wars as well.
Yeah, that's
And we're going to talk about that next week.
They're going to talk about that
I'm
next
saying
week.
that I'm
But-
booked in to say a midnight screening. I'm
Oh,
excited.
sick
Oh, you
invite.
bastards.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm working that night. I'm really pissed off.
Oof. So,
But,
but
this-
2010 is an underrated year if anyone's had a look at the list.
yeah.
Really underrated year,
2010.
2010. Yeah, very solid year. King's Speech won it, but I think the lineup, there's like 3 other movies here that you could go, oh yeah, that could totally win that. You got 127, of which I feel is brilliant from James Franco.
127 hours.
Yeah. I'm not saying it wins it, but I'm saying like it's a film that you look at and you go, yep, that's obviously going to be up for
Oh,
an
it
Oscar
was
nomination.
it was
Right.
award bait.
It's more displaying
Black
the
Swan.
acting, that's it.
Yeah, Franco's range of not playing a character who's a cunt.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Or a stoner.
True, that'd be literally the first character he's ever
was-
played
it
that
was-
wasn't a cunt, wasn't it?
He always plays a prick. Or himself in fucking This Is the End.
This is the
as
end. Is
bit
a
of a prick.
fucking cultural heritage film, in my opinion. That is brilliant memeing.
Black Swan though, where you did
Black
say that.
Swan, good. The Fighter, Inception.
Okay.
Oh no, I know. And then this
No,
was
no.
going to be up for my I have a short list. I haven't got
Yeah,
pick
yeah,
one for the
yeah.
first ten. I have a short list, and Inception is on that.
Okay, yeah.
All right, because I think you're right because you can't really after
Is that the
2012.
first time you used IMAX cameras? Or do you use
No,
it
he used him in Batman.
Batman first?
Yeah, he
Oh,
used him
they
in
did
in Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, because it's the
But
famous one of like
he really mastered it.
the
with,
shot of the tumbler going up the back of the garbage truck.
Yeah.
That was just a IMAX camera on a rig, and he got too close and actually smashed the IMAX camera on the back of the garbage truck. And IMAX were like, what? It's like a $20,000
only have-
$200,000
They
camera
only
or
have
something.
like 5 of them or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and he drowned one in Dunkirk too.
What?
Yeah, have you seen Dunkirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, the shot where Tom Hardy's plane lands and then starts to sink. It's like one shot, and that camera, the IMAX camera, it had a waterproof housing, but it was like just strapped to the wing of the plane. So when it goes under the water, that's just the camera following it down, and Tom Hardy's in there holding his fucking breath. And then there's like someone behind the plane with like an air tank if he got fucked. But like they sank a.
Speaking of Tom Hardy, that man, I could not remember that he was in Dunkirk, but that just completely proves my theory.
Well, once
that
again,
man has the most diverse roles.
behind a mask the entire time. You got that fucking.
Diverse roles, boys.
He's the man behind the mask.
Also, Social Network.
Oh.
So Aaron Sorkin's one of my favorite writers. Period.
Yeah,
I know, I-
Social
Aaron
Network was
Sorkin
such a
is-
good film, and that
The fact
of
that it
this
was
list.
shot by David Fincher as well is literally a match made in heaven.
Oh, it is.
for
I know,
for
it
that
is.
film.
I
And then it's
agree,
what
like-
scored by fucking what's his face?
Hans.
Hans.
Oh,
No,
Hans
no,
Zimmer.
it was
No.
John Williams.
the guy from Trent Reznor, guy from Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trent Reznor, like he
Oh,
scored.
and you can tell too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I have like sat and watched that movie pretty fucked up before, and all I could focus on was just like this continuous droning soundtrack in the Social Network.
that film has got to be
The
one of the
opening,
most
so well done.
well-written
the opening
films I've ever
scene,
seen.
the way the writing kind of like bounce off each other, like it's just the opening scene is just him and the girl in the bar, and it's just
so good.
her getting more annoyed in the fact that
Yeah.
he can't stay with the conversation. He's constantly because it's just her understanding that his brain doesn't quite work like
is,
everyone
yeah.
else's,
Such a Sorkin scene.
and it's brilliant because
It is just.
It is. No, it is. I feel like you could have taken it out of the bar and put it in the White House.
It gives
and be
you
like,
more-
Oh, this is a scene from The West Wing, like straight up.
it gives you more insight to the character than it gives off.
Yeah.
Because it does seem just like minor one tips, but it's building more and more backstory as each line comes off. It's great.
Like literally in that movie, there's never really a scene where a character has just explained to the audience who they are.
no,
You just
exposition,
get it
very
from
light.
just like the way that they converse with other people and act with other people. It's so well done. Going back to Inception, that is one I think that has sent a ripple through the decade.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
about to
because
say.
like every trailer now does the Inception boom. So that it
Marketing.
influenced for that, but like just the level of like we hadn't had anything like The Matrix for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then we get Inception, and it kind of fell at a good time because Matrix was out in like 99, 2000, and then Inception we get like a decade later.
And honestly, we're hitting a bit of a creative rut.
It was pretty grim.
We weren't really hitting anything that was kind of sparking
Before
new
Inception.
ideas. Yeah, before
Yeah,
Inception.
no,
And
100%.
like
then-
we had like obviously like he'd done Dark Knight in 2008,
When did
Which-
Shutter Island come out?
which was fucking great.
Uh,
Shutter Island was
Before or
13,
after Inception?
13.
It was after Inception. Yeah.
It was
that
after
was that
Inception?
was
Alright, good,
that
thank
was
God.
Scorsese.
Oh,
No, but that idea of like if we're gonna go like Inception being
Oh,
this
yeah.
like really
Praise the Lord.
complex narrative, obviously ending with that like the ending's still talked about.
Yeah.
it came out 9 years ago, and people
Yeah.
are still uncertain about whether or not that fucking thing fell over.
I have
Like,
a
it's
I
brilliant.
have a massive plot hole with that ending.
Oh,
Does
Well-
he
And-
does he
and I
ne-
think,
does he
like,
never
the-
come inside the house again? Does he just grab the kids and leave?
but the scene
he-
ends with him walking out to go see his kids in quotation
Yeah.
marks, and then it just wobbles, and you see it wobble, and then it
A
comes.
micro bit, right?
Yeah.
But either
So
way,
well
the, like
fucking
the
directed.
like the symbolism of that was him spinning the top and then leaving to say he doesn't care if it's a dream or not.
Yeah.
But dream or not, does he just grab the kids and then just leave that property forever? At some point, he has to come back inside, and if he comes back inside, he's going to know either way if it's still spinning or if it's fallen over.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's always like you can pick holes in anything, especially like movies that do that cut to black, and you're just like, but what about the next scene? What would have happened next? Just completely undermines the ending. And like, it took me a while to actually.
But that's literally the question you ask.
I know
What about the next scene?
I know. It's like, for me, it's like, it took me like 4 watches. And then I'm just watching it one day. I watch it and I'm just like, wait, does he come back in that house? He left the top spinning on the fucking kitchen table. He's going to see it if he walks back in the house. So he's going to know, like, the point of him spinning it and leaving is to him for not, like, he should have done it in the airport. Like, walked into the airport bathroom, just span it, and the next scene is
for the audience. Is
like, it is.
for
100%.
anticipation. It's a little cliffhanger.
100% for the audience. But for me, I'm just like...
Isn't he? That's all the effect was.
Yeah, and he's like that tiny little, like, micro wobble.
Yeah.
But that's like, oh, the internet shaking.
Yeah, I know.
And you're right.
It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick.
Inception is a film that, like, I mean, we're still talking about it almost a decade later.
Exactly.
And whether or not that's a great
Exactly.
movie.
It is one that it sends the ripples through the decade.
Yeah.
So far, this has been like Pint Party presents the movies of the decade.
Yeah, it's okay.
Real quick, just before we end, let's go.
Everyone
let's
just
go
pick
through.
their best movie of that decade, of that half, and then just...
Yeah, we're moving, and then we're going to work it all out at the end of next episode. But this, for now, is the first.
I'll go first. Theory of Everything.
Theory of Everything.
Theory of Everything.
Okay.
That is
movie
your best movie for the first.
That is my favorite movie. It was up for the Oscar. It's my favorite, personal favorite. Like, that movie just perfectly encapsulates, because I'm a huge fan of science, and I'm a bigger fan of Stephen Hawking. So for me, it's bias. So and I love the way that specifically how Eddie Redmayne portrayed Stephen Hawking. Like, Stephen Hawking put him over for it. Like, it was a very, very well acted role. Writing, you could have, like, obviously they based it on Hawking's, like, upbringing and then his university life. So you couldn't have much leeway in terms of, like, plot points you'd want to just shove in there. So it was still very kind of like, oh, you look at the writing and you go, yeah, fair enough, I guess that happened to him. But it was the acting of that film that was just so good for me. Like, was it Lily J. Collins that played his wife? I think. Can't remember.
Tomlin?
Same girl who was in Blindside and with Zac Efron in the Ted Bundy film.
Couldn't have been Lily Tomlin. She's like in her 60s. Like,
No,
can't play a university.
What am I thinking of?
Oh, no, Felicity Jones. Felicity Jones. It was Felicity
Oh,
Jones.
yeah.
Look, she, like, that's, in my knowledge, her first role I've ever seen her in, like, a leading role. And she was fucking brilliant. It was just really well directed and well acted. And I think it deserves just a bit more credit when it comes to, like, that half of that decade.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Because it will get lost behind the Inceptions and every other movie that won the awards.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's the Avengers, just because, like, it introduces the concept of we just take it for granted, this concept of a cinematic universe, but, like, it really wasn't a thing before the Avengers. Like, I mean, Quentin Tarantino had it, but it was really just sort of like he had a series of different stories that all theoretically could have taken part within the same universe, but they really had nothing to do with each other.
And it took people picking those movies apart to be like, oh, there's a reference here, here that he would hide as Easter eggs in his films.
That's what I mean. Like, the Easter eggs, it was a gimmick, it was a laugh, it was a poke and a giggle. It wasn't really meant to be one coherent piece.
Whereas this is like obvious.
Yeah, this is like no, this is all one story we're trying to tell.
Yeah,
and we're trying to tell one giant, like, kind of like one giant saga. Yeah, right, in the classic sense of the word. Right, and we're trying to do it within the constraints of contemporary cinema, where you can't have like a 4-hour epic, right, like the greatest story ever told. You just can't do that anymore. So it's, for me, like, the Avengers really, like, sits down and goes, okay, we're gonna basically invent a whole new concept of cinema right here. Right, and we're just going to do this crazy fucking thing, right? Especially with especially when you're talking about, like, I mean, this is Marvel pre-Disney buyout as well. So, like, this is like a comic book company when comic book movies really weren't selling, right? Besides The Dark Knight, and trying to do this ginormous, like, it was a fucking enormous risk.
Oh, yeah.
A huge fucking risk. And even more huge when you realize that the first Iron Man movie only had 2 pages of script written. They fucking ad-libbed most of that movie. So, like, they were just figuring it out as they went, right? It was real, like, cowboy filmmaking, and they fucking did it.
That's because Favreau and RDJ are just fucking good at what they do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, it was Robert Downey Jr.'s, like, return to fame as well. I mean, that's before our decade. But anyway, the point, actually, no, I would say, like by the Avengers, he's, like, hit his stride as an actor again. He's like, I am back in the game.
It was that build up to that's like the reason, and like he carried that movie essentially as well.
He did, yeah.
As well as that missile. Like the reason why he was getting like some $50 million fees for all the other Avengers movies he appeared in or some shit like that.
Yeah, dude. He stitched that up so good.
It got to like 80.
80 million. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Because I'm pretty sure even Robert knew that he would be done by the end of it. Like, he knew that he'd be typecast as Iron Man forever.
Yeah.
Like, he knew he was going to end up like basically every actor on Star Trek
Good on
ever.
him, though, for doing,
and
like,
was
Sherlock Holmes at the same time.
Yeah, and he did that. But what I'm saying is, like, he knew he had, if he didn't set himself up for life after this, he was going to be in big trouble.
Oh,
And
he's
he
set
was
up for like 20 lifetimes.
That's what I'm saying. He's set for life, and like
good.
now he can just do whatever the fuck he wants.
And now he's doing weird Dr. Doodle movies.
Well, that's,
Yeah, but he can because
Yeah.
he can. He doesn't need the money.
that's what Shia LaBeouf's done.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah,
I've done Holes. I've done
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
yeah.
you
I
know,
did even Stevens.
I've done
Fuck it.
Transformers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can go sit in a box in Central Park for 3 weeks if I want to. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. He can totally afford
Actually, I really want to see Honey Boy.
He did so Peanut Butter Falcon and Honey Boy.
Yeah,
I want to see Peanut Butter Falcon a little more than Honey Boy. I
I
think
kind of want to see Honey Boy because
Honey Boy apparently
it's
is
about
like
his-
it's literally about his life.
his life, and then he plays his own father.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck
But
yes.
like apparently, I've read some reviews.
Yeah.
and it's a little iffy. But apparently, Peanut Butter Falcon
yeah,
has a little bit more.
I do want to say it
a
looks
little
really
more
good.
appeal.
Shia LaBeouf's had a turnaround the last couple of years. Good on him.
Yeah, he's fucking. This is his decade too for
Yeah.
a fucking turnaround. But-
I'm just going to say, same as you, Avengers.
Yeah,
I stated my reasons earlier.
yeah.
I don't know why. Like deep down, I'm like, out of all the
Come
films,
on,
like,
man.
I see a lot of films, but like Spotlight for some reason has just literally stuck with me. I don't know
Is that-
why.
I love how we've gone
No,
to
that's-
different picks.
that's- yeah.
15, it's on the line.
That doesn't count. 2010 to 2014,
No, that's
man.
next week. 2015.
That's next week, bro.
And by the way, for me, the Avengers is like that. Yeah, the first half. Like,
Look when it came out.
yeah.
Come on, man.
It could if it got a 2014 release
January.
of
Oh,
2015.
2015? Nah, not counting it. Not counting it. Not counting it.
Screw it over.
Had it been December 31st,
You'd be all
we'd make a
good.
Concession.
Spotlight, fucking dope. Like, I agree. It's a good
We'll
movie.
talk about it next week. That's
That's
fine.
what we'll talk about next
Yeah, you
week.
can talk about it next week.
All right.
You're just going to lock him with.
Whiplash, I would say then.
No,
Yeah.
Whiplash was
Yeah.
my second.
Yeah, Whiplash for me, honestly, I've seen a lot of films over the past decade, but honestly, I think I've seen Whiplash a numerous amount of times. But I think it's just because I think the first time I saw it when I was 14 or when I was younger, I was really obsessed with acting, and I really enjoyed the minimalism that Miles Teller brought to the role. I thought he brought like levels of personal. You could tell that there was struggle going inside. There's always personal struggle going on, that he's tried to overcome adversity and all this. And at the time, I was trying to overcome adversity. So there's always great parallels between the film and my life. But also, it had a great performance by J.K. Simmons. And honestly, like, if he doesn't want to make you scared of jazz teachers, then who will? Because jazz teachers usually are like, hey guys, put your oboes down, and I'll tell you the story that the time that I smoked weed with you know.
Trying to think of any jazz
Yeah,
musician.
any jazz musician right now.
Cat Stevens.
Cat Stevens. Skillcott, I can't pronounce his name.
Who's the dude who plays the trumpet really cool?
Skillcott Heron, I can't pronounce his first name.
Dizzy Gillespie.
Nah, fucking pretty sure he's got an Armstrong in there or something.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis
yeah.
Armstrong. There you go. There's a jazz musician.
But hey, insert any jazz musician
Yeah.
name there,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not J.K. Simmons. But hey, like, he brings a brilliant, like, I think that's more of an
I
insight.
think he brings a reality to
that's-
something that we didn't think
He
had
was
that
my
reality.
he was my
It opens
favorite
the-
movie villain of 20,
It opens the
2014.
door, I think, to a world that a lot of people don't really look at, and I think that's what I find interesting about film is when they pick niche things and kind of look and investigate into those ideas and those worlds more depthly. And I think Whiplash does a fantastic job of going into jazz and
Also,
what it
any
does to teach
any
jazz.
movie that really goes into like the actual like realities of the pursuit of perfection.
Yeah.
Yes,
In a
and that's
really-
what he does so well.
And also
Yeah.
does really well at describing the relationship between mentors, but also like him and his dad.
Yeah.
And, like how like his dad, it's like a more of a buddy relationship, but there isn't any mentor like kind of element
Yeah.
or any kind of like real love there. But you can tell through hard and struggle that there starts to be more of a respect level built between J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons and Miles, which is
And then there's also like the relationship with his girlfriend that just kind of like falls apart.
yeah.
Like,
Because
there's-
well,
the
that's
only thing really-
because he has the mental switch. He's like,
Yeah.
what do I need to start taking seriously?
Yeah.
And it's I think everyone kind of has that, like starts taking stock in their own life and saying,
Yeah.
well, what if I want to do this? If I want to apply myself to this discipline, what do I need to do? And that does it is an extreme case
Oh yeah, yeah.
for sure, and everything
But
like
yeah.
just drives. To,
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
honestly, it's a pretty damn good pick for the first half of the decade. Anyway, yeah. What are we going to
All right,
next?
so we really got to wrap up. We're like running over time.
No,
So, like,
it happens.
Real quick, I'm just going to list off like music from the Triple J Hottest 100 from 2010 to 2014.
This is tough.
You've got Angus and Julia Stone, Big Jet Plane, which I agree. Like I remember listening to that song in 2010.
I've
like,
got my
that's-
pick.
For me, that's right. 2011, Gautier featuring Kimber, somebody that I used to know. Like, yeah, okay, pretty solid one. 2012, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis featuring Wayne's Thrift Shop. 2013, Advanced Joy, Riptide, which I don't remember at all. 2014, Chet Faker, Talk is Cheap. I remember Chet Faker, don't remember that song.
Like the
But if you heard the song, that's why you know Chet Faker.
Right,
The
okay.
fact that it's a cover, I don't know if it should.
Talking
count.
shit.
It was on.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
from the
sure
Triple J
yeah,
hottest.
pretty
This
sure
is just what Australia
Really?
Yeah,
decided
pretty
was
sure.
a fucking
Yeah.
banger in 2014. Was that song? So that's what I'm listening. Like I'm not. It's not. It didn't. I don't know about any awards or billboards or any shit. Like this is just what Australia thought was a fucking good tune.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just- Australia got around Chet Faker in 2014. Right?
Oh, that album he released was brilliant.
And
Loved
then
it.
and then for games in that same period, 2010, right, Red Dead Redemption, 2011, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, 2012, The Walking Dead, 2013, Grand Theft Auto 5, and 2014, Dragon Age Inquisition.
No diggity.
You can kind of tell that Spike TV was like paid for by developers because like of that first half of the decade where it was like the Spike TV Game Awards, The Walking Dead is the only one that's kind of like a standout on the
Yeah.
list of like, okay, I get why that got game of the year because I remember I played The Walking Dead episode 1 and like by the end of that, like it's the first game I ever played where I was like, fuck, I need to like drink an entire bottle of whiskey after this. Like, holy shit. Like, that took you places and made you feel things as a video game. Like, that most games have never done ever.
Just to piggyback off that, my pick for the decade, the half decade for game, I'll start with games.
Yep.
Not on any of the list, but it goddamn should be. To the Moon.
Okay.
To the Moon is one of the greatest games I've ever played because it brought a return back to simplistic 8-bit aesthetic.
Yep.
But with the development that we've had with mechanics now, so it's mechanically really superior, but aesthetically it's really simple. But it imbued all that together with one of the finest narratives ever written for a game ever. Ever. It's so simple, but it's so like it can move into different kinds of areas. Like it could be used as a film. Like you can make so many different spin-offs. But it's as simple as these two researchers and scientists had developed a machine to access a person's memories and grant them their final wish on their deathbed. That one that they'd never achieved. But they achieved it in their dreams. And they bring their dreams to reality by going into their head to achieve it for them. And in the first game, To the Moon, which is the first one that came out for that series, it was going through the head of a guy who I believe he had Alzheimer's or something, and he forgot his wife. And he had a simple dream. I want to go to the moon. Right? I never want to become an astronaut. Never managed to do it because I settled down too early, but I want to go to the moon. All right? And they're looking at it going, how the fuck do you do this? And it's a journey back through his past, seeing at what point can we convince him to go to the moon. And it's this tough choice between, all right, you have to give up the wife who's been with you for about 50 years at this point, someone he doesn't remember now in his dying bed, or divert and become an astronaut, and you're sitting there and you're meant to make that choice for him because you've just gone through the history of what you've seen. It's one of the most beautifully written games ever and does not get considered on anything.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there are a lot of games like that just never get seen or
Yeah.
heard from because video games is unlike film or music is very much dominated by whoever's got the most cash to sell the most copies. Like you don't really get
If this
don't
had
really
come
get
out,
shout in.
because it came out in 2011, if it
Yeah.
come out in this half of the decade, I think it would with
Yeah.
the Game Awards.
Yeah.
It would definitely be in consideration
Yeah, I
for
think
Game
you're
of the
right.
Year.
Yeah.
Because that was back then when IGN and Spike TV and everyone had their own kind of like critical choice.
Mm.
But if it were to come out in this decade, it would actually be up for a Game of the Year because
Yeah.
it definitely has that Oscar structure to it of like, this is a game with a very, very heavy message.
Yeah.
Huge message, but done so simply. No, it deserves so much credit. That's my pick for the first half.
I'm not really in games, so I'm not really gonna.
Oh well, I'll go then. My pick for the first half is Wolfenstein: The New Order. Straight up, like Wolfenstein: The New Order.
2014?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 2013. No, hang on. Was it? No, it was 2013 or 2014. It was okay. It was shown at E3 in 2013. I know that because I was there. I talked to the writer. I think it came out in 2014. It might have been late 2014, but it was out. I think in 2014.
It was up for the Game of the Year.
Well,
Yeah, it was up for Game of the Year. But Wolfenstein.
I feel really bad then because if it has been that long, it's been sitting on my shelf that entire time and I haven't touched it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy shit! You
I
need
just
to play it.
haven't
Holy
got around to
fuck.
doing it. I've got it and
Oh
it's
my
just sitting
fucking
there.
God.
But
Holy
I've not.
shit.
May 2014.
Yeah, there you go.
Fuck, I've had it sit on my goddamn shelf for 5 years.
Oh my god.
I need to play that game.
Yes, you do. Oh my
Shit.
god. So this is why it's my pick for the first half of the decade, right?
Yeah.
So I've been playing Wolfenstein since I was 6 months old, right? So I started out by playing the original Wolfenstein 3D. Right, love that game. Still love it. I still go back and play it to this day, like almost 25 years later. But then they brought out, and I remember I got super hyped when they brought out Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is gonna be dope." It's running on the Quake engine. This is gonna be fucking awesome, right? But they leaned too hard into the occult, right? Wasn't it on the Quake engine?
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you, and then I'm just like, yeah, it wasn't a great game.
No, it wasn't a great game. It really, I was super hyped just I was like, oh my god, fuck yeah, more Wolfenstein, because I the only one I played was Wolf 3D. They really hadn't brought nothing out since.
Because I remember
it fucking tanked. It was a fucking shit game because they leaned too hard into the occult stuff.
That was on original Xbox.
Yeah, original Xbox and PC and stuff.
Yeah, because I got it. It was like a demo. In when you first got your Xbox, like your original Xbox, came with like a demo disc of like all the early release games that are like Halo on there and Splinter Cell and Wolfenstein, Return to Castle Wolfenstein was on there as well. Yeah. And I played like whatever the demo level was. I'm like, oh fuck, that was sweet. So I went in and got it. Yeah. And then I played it, I was like, this isn't that great.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't that great. Just because and a big part of it, was that they tried to do, I feel like they tried to do more Indiana Jones, like leaning into the occult kind of stuff. Yeah. And it just didn't work. No. Right? It didn't it didn't have any characters that stood out. It was just a zombie shooter is all it was, right? And that's not really what people wanted, right? Especially because like the concept of like the Nazi zombie shooter wouldn't come for another few years at that point. Yeah. Right? Not until Call of Duty World at War.
And I think around that same time, like they also released Doom 3.
Yeah. Yeah. And Doom 3 kind of like, it fell on its ass too.
Well, but I just liked it better because it was Doom.
It was. No, Doom did it better as well, just because.
And it had this crazy atmosphere to it too.
Yeah, that's it. Doom had a much better horror element, and Return to Castle, because so the problem with Return to Castle inherently was it was running on the wrong engine. It's on the Quake engine, which is like rocket jumps and bunny hopping across the map at like extreme speed. What they should have done is made Return to Castle a runner gunner and just been like, here's a million Nazis and a minigun, go nuts. But they didn't, and so it just didn't work. Like the game engine was wrong for that game. But anyway, so then you've got Wolfenstein: The New Order gets announced, and it's a totally unknown company. It's Machine Games, this little company nobody's ever heard of, right? That's being published by Bethesda, right? And you're like, okay, hang on a minute, but like, what's the I played Return to Castle and that was shit. So like, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, you're going more down the sci-fi technology route. Okay, and it's more of a alternate history. What if the Nazis won the war? You're going to move away from kind of Castle Wolfenstein entirely and kind of do your own thing. I respect that. And I remember watching the trailer and being like, oh, wait a minute. They're doing more of let's explore BJ as a character. Let's explore his reasons for doing things. But also, it felt like an SBS movie as a video game. I was like, okay. No, which I liked. I was like, okay. And I remember talking to the writer. I interviewed the writer at E3. And I was like, okay, and at the time I was a Wolfenstein fan. And I'm like, I'm interrogating this fucker. I'm like, are you going to fuck me a second time? And he was like, no, we were huge fans of Wolfenstein 3D. And we were just like, let's just make that. And I was just like, fuck yeah. All right. I'm feeling good about this. And then it came out and it did not disappoint. Because they were like, we're going to give you everything you want. Do you want to just run and gun? You can fucking run and gun for days, right? Or do you just want to do you want to be stealthy and sneaky and stuff? Like that's like, do you want to play this other way of playing a Wolfenstein game? Go for it. And both options are totally valid. You can switch between them at any time. And it totally worked. Oh my God. It was so good. Oh my God. That's what a Wolfenstein game could be. And it was fantastic. Oh my God.
GTA 5.
GTA 5? Yeah.
Easy answer.
Yeah.
I would love
Don't even need to explain it.
I would love to give it to Last of Us. I know you would like.
I wanted to go for a bit of
bit.
left to fill one.
But like, it's hard not to go GTA 5, only because like it's still relevant today. Because they just keep putting stuff out for it. It's crazy. And also, it got me a HD in an assignment in uni. I did a report. I was doing a...
So the Last of Us for me.
Yeah, I did. I had a bloody entrepreneurship unit when I was doing a business course, and the guy was like, I want you to come up with like a new product and pitch it. And I wanted to pitch like... And apparently this is where GameStop is going now, like GameStop / EB Games for us here in Australia, is their thing of doing like esports tournaments within the EB Game stores.
Oh, okay.
Or Game
They've already
stores.
started.
Yeah,
There's one that runs
they're
out of
making
Swanston.
no fucking revenue.
Didn't they do that with Halo Reach? I remember they did that.
No, I'm talking like this is like an ongoing like
I see.
the reason
Right,
you go to
okay.
the store is
Is
to
for the
is for like the tournaments or just like have
Yeah.
like a little LAN cafe in the back or whatever.
Right. Okay.
EB
So-
themselves hasn't run it. They run it via Couch Warriors here, but they
Yeah,
use EB venues
But
now, which is where it's
over in America, GameStop, which is their
Yeah.
version of EB Games, are like looking at converting all of their stores, the remaining stores, mind you. I think they got rid of 1,000 a couple of months ago. They just because they're not making any money. Thinking of like just incorporating a live play element into their stores to get people to come back and spend revenue in the place. And I actually pitched that. This was like it was 2013. It was like 2 weeks after GTA came out. And I was like pitching it. And I'm like, and if you want just a base revenue number here for how much games make, I use the thing of like GTA made $1 billion in 3 days and $2 billion over its first week in sales, and like it topped out Avatar as the fastest selling bit of media to get to $1 billion because it took Avatar 3 weeks. It took
took 3 days.
3 days instead of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was
Games are the quickest selling media.
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Because usually people are very much day one adopters, and also a game costs $100, a movie ticket costs $20.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a disparity there, but also it's just like people vote with their wallets, and it made a fuck ton of money. And so like for me, and I pitched that as part of my thing why gaming is a booming media, and it is. It's making more money year on year all the time. But yeah, I love GTA. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's just like it was really well made. They took their time. It got delayed like 4 times, and each time I'm just like, yep, that's fine. Make it perfect. And it came out day one. Guess what? No fucking patches. None of this they delayed online because they wanted people to actually play the story, which was great. And it just worked out of the box. And it's like the first time I've ever got a goddamn game on this new like generation of consoles where it's just like, oh my God, it works. There's no like 3 gigabyte download patch I've got to get day one because they fucked something up and didn't ship it with it. My God.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, I think it's still like averages top 5 on Twitch still as a game. General viewers, like it's crazy that it's been nearly a decade of this game being out and he's still relevant to this day. It's unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, the first half of the decade at least, GTA 5.
Yeah. No.
Easy.
No. That's a solid choice. Lucky, you got anything you want to throw in there real quick?
Throw in an NBA. You know you want to. Just do it.
No, I honestly,
Speaking of 3 gig patches day
Call
one,
of Duty, Modern Warfare, maybe.
I played a lot of Overwatch when it came out.
2016.
Yeah.
15?
No, 16.
Yeah.
Damn it, I can't
Yeah.
say that either.
Yeah, that's going to be next week's episode.
No, look, that's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's like if you got anything you want to mention.
Honestly, guys, during that time, I was really into acting and stuff, so I watched movies.
Yeah. No. Fair
I watched
enough.
a lot of movies.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, that's
All
fine.
right, so just by default, Black Ops. Just by default, Black Ops 2.
Black
or
Ops is a
something.
good game.
Yeah, like just that's one of the Call of Duties.
If we're going to talk about, if we're going to, honestly, the new COD that came out's been the best COD since Modern Warfare 2. But like,
Because it is.
yeah, I know.
It's because it is.
Yeah, I don't know. You can because Black Ops, it's trash.
The first Black Ops was good.
Black
2009, I think, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
Black
get
Ops-
counted.
yeah,
but-
Black Ops- one was good.
Any Black Ops that was made this decade, no, it's trash.
yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah, Blobs 2 was shit.
And what was the other one? Advanced Warfare?
That was trash.
That's
That was
trash
trash. Ghost was good. Ghost was good.
Infinity Ward knows how to make fucking Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Like Treyarch.
Do not ever give the IP to Treyarch again.
No. Treyarch had one good idea, and that was Black Ops 1. And then because World at War sucked, in my opinion. It was no good, right? Black Ops 1, they had an idea
Trying
and
to
they went
remake
with it. It
Medal
was
of
good.
Valor as
And
well.
Sledgehammer,
I was just thinking that.
Sledgehammer Games has yet to make a single good Call of Duty ever,
Yeah.
right? You know, but that being said though, the reason why Sledgehammer's still in it is because they make fucking amazing multiplayer. Like that's just the and they put multiplayer on the map for Call of Duty in my opinion. Them and Treyarch.
That's how they sold like the new Advanced Warfare was like we got grapples and our new multiplayer. It's like, sick.
Yeah.
I don't.
But with that, we'll leave it there. We'll wrap it up there until next week. So stay tuned for
No
next
music?
week.
No music?
Well, we did.
It's really quick. All right, my pick for the first half, Lord Royals.
Yeah. I'd say I probably said the same thing. Yeah, Lord Royals.
Adele's Rolling in the Deep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, can
Shit,
anyone
that's good.
between the years of 2010 and 2014 guess what year that came out?
Rolling Deep.
Rolling in the Deep.
2012. I want to say 12, but I could be wrong. No. I'm
I'd
gonna go 11.
Yeah, 2011.
Oh yes.
That song still feels so fucking omnipresent.
Yeah.
Like it is just it is once again one of those ones. It stayed.
Yeah.
It's
And like
very
that-
resonant.
I remember
that
listening to it in
album.
2013, like 2 years, full 2 years
Yeah,
later.
but like that album 21 is like pretty much damn near perfect album.
Fuck yeah.
It's
I agree.
so well done, and she's fucking phenomenal. But yeah, like Wrong in the Deep is just when you think of like, I think when people look back at the 2010s, it's gonna be like Someone Who Needs to Know, Lord Royals, and I think Wrong in the Deep are gonna be ones that like people are like, oh yeah, that song came out.
Yeah. They'll get played to death on Gold FM in 20 years from now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that Justin Timberlake's probably
Yeah, I rate
Yeah,
that.
no, Timberlake. Yeah, no,
the 2020 album
can't-
that came out this year. I can't really fault it. It's the fact that he got Jay-Z on it, and the fact they pushed this whole gentleman's kind of quality movement for like a good year and a half. I'd say like everyone was kind of mirroring JT's kind of whole persona at the time.
Was this before or after Blurred Lines?
This has been
2014 was Blurred Lines, I think, or 13.
Yeah, so Blurred Lines wasn't great.
That song moved us back a few steps.
Yeah.
But that wasn't JT. That was.
Oh no, I'm just saying.
Robert
Like, in general, for like,
well, that's how Emily Ratajkowski started her career. Was through that.
It did.
You know, that also
But she's the only good thing that ever came out of that whole thing was her. Right?
Also the lawsuit.
Pharrell, let's give slack off Pharrell. Pharrell's a good guy.
You know how they released 2 film clips for Blurred Lines? One was like,
Yeah.
one was R-rated.
without the bras on. The other one was like just topless.
Ones that you saw on MTV, and then ones you can see on Pornhub. Like there's.
All right, where I used to work at the Cass, like Lagerfield had that massive screen, and like just when there's no sport or whatever on, we just played music videos, not realizing that Crown had downloaded the uncensored version.
Brilliant.
So one day there's like a group of old people having lunch in the venue and Blurred Lines comes on and there's Emily Ratajkowski just topless walking across the screen, and I was like, oh shit. I didn't realize that we had the uncensored one on. It was just like playing on random. So there's like, and that screen's like what, fucking 20 feet tall or something. There's just 20 foot high naked chick walking across the screen at like 12:30 on a Saturday. I'm just like, I need to change that.
Just a quick little lore tidbit to finish off the episode on that. Blurred Lines actually set a low-key precedent in copyright law because it's the first ever case that, well, not the first ever, because Katy Perry's Dark Horses managed to solidify it, but Blurred Lines established the fact that you can copyright very standard beats, which is something you can't do in copyright because anything that's very standard can't be copyrightable. It's not original, doesn't have novelty.
Right.
But because Pharrell had hacked some song based on just like pure causal connection. He actually admitted that he never really heard it, but based because they were so similar, because they had very standard beats.
James White song or something?
Something like that. But they managed to copyright that, which is everyone looked at it and just went, you can't do that, because then what if any other band wants to just do a basic boom, boom, ch, boom, boom, ch. Like that's a building, that's the alphabet. You can't copyright the alphabet. That's the alphabet of music.
Well, what did Dark Horse get pinged for?
Dark Horse got pinned literally for... it was some very specific beat, but it was also something you look at and you go, all right, in the terms of the whole song, that is just essentially 3 notes played in a different pitch, but it's just 3 notes. Can I copyright 3 notes in the way it's played?
No, because
it's like the building blocks.
When it comes to like Vanilla Ice Baby. Because he's like, oh, but it has the extra note on the end.
Yeah.
But it's the same
It's
the same process of notes in the same beat in the same pitch.
Same key.
With one on the end that's extra.
Yeah, a little fun fact about that. And that case only got resolved last year.
Yeah, that was very recent.
I was just thinking though, Tame Impala did a lot for music during that time.
Oh,
So I
you're
was just
fucking
thinking,
right, you are.
Like, fuck. Currents
Dude.
was like really, really popular.
Elephants.
Yeah,
Feel
good.
like I'm going backwards.
Man, they so underrated, I think, in the Australian scene of what they did for Aussie music.
And
Did
I
they
want to know Arctic Monkeys 2014, actually. That was up there in my picks as well. So I'll throw it out there real quick. Arctic Monkeys
They're
are lit.
massive overseas now.
Yeah.
They took off in a big way.
Well, he's working. I forget the lead singer's name, but he's working with Travis Scott and stuff.
Fucking up. Well, the lead singer does everything for Tame.
Yeah. Dude, long hair. I forget his name.
Lead singer of Tame Impala. But he does everything. He records all the instruments himself and then just has the rest of the band come and play when they play live.
Respect.
Yeah, he's a workhorse. But, oh God, you put that in my head now.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Fuck.
Literally, like last minute, my brain just went Tame Impala. Because I was trying to think about what I was listening in high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah.
Would have been me right out of high school.
We started this decade in high school. Most of us, Ricky, you're 47.
I was going to say, Ricky, you were talking about getting a HD on a university assignment because of GTA 5.
It was 2013.
I was sitting my year 12 exams.
And that was my second crack at uni, so wasn't in my first go round.
But with that, we'll wrap it up there for now. For next week, we're going to talk about the second half of the decade, so please stay tuned for that.
And then we're going to define from based on our first and second half.
Yeah.
The of the
Definitive.
decade.
What is the
Well,
most iconic? What is the most definitive?
Definitive according to Pint Party.
Well,
There's,
according to-
Oh, yeah,
there's
yeah.
100 million different ways to
Our
define it.
definitive
This is
list.
our definitive.
Yeah.
Right, and so take it with a pinch of salt. So
Yep.
I want to thank my guest, David Yang, Ricky Needs, Luke Beasley, for joining me.
Thank
you,
you.
boys.
Thank you.
There
My
you
voice
go.
will be better next week.
Will it be?
Oh,
Maybe,
we'll find
maybe
out.
not.
We'll find out.
David, do you want to get drunk next Friday night?
Yes.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Ricky.
So please stay tuned for next week. We're going to have the other half of the decade. But for now, this has been Pint Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Hartefact Podcast Network. For more of this and our other podcasts, head to hartefactstudios.com.au.